Hi everybody. Well, I'm a frequent flyer. I fly a lot. I live in Canada and I cruise a lot, which means I have to fly to everywhere I'm cruising. So much so that I've reached a high status with the airline because I fly so often. And I'm telling you, I'm a nervous flyer. I've never been good, but I finally started getting to that point where I'm good. I'm not really nervous when we're taking off. I'm not really nervous during the flight anymore. And recently, all the news stories of things have come out. It's hard not to be. So there's been a bunch of stories in the news about the airlines recently, right? We started off with the horrible crash in Washington, D.C., where the airplane on final approach was run into by a military Black Hawk helicopter, and everyone perished on board. A horrible incident. Still investigating, wondering what happened. Scary, scary process. How in the world did that helicopter end up in the flight path of a landing strip where all the planes are landing? That should be a no-go zone in the air for everything. And how did it happen? So we're very curious to find out exactly what happened there. But shortly after that, there was another close call incident where a pilot had to make an emergency go-around and lift back off again. And the airline said, well, these are go-arounds. They're a safety issue. Sometimes the landing's coming in a little crooked. The pilot decides to go around. Or there might be a slower plane still on the ground that's slower than it was supposed to be. All kinds of various things can happen. And a go-around is a normal procedure. It happens almost every day at every airport. However, some of the passengers on board said, yeah, the maneuver this pilot made didn't seem like a gradual, oh, let's just go around again kind of thing. It seemed like he had to full throttle it to get up in the air and get out of there. So they're not sure what exactly was going on there. Then we had the Delta plane flip over in Toronto on landing, which is a scary proposition. Thank goodness everybody survived that crash. I mean, imagine living to talk about flipping over on your airplane. That is a story like you're living your 9 lives, right? You've got a new lease on life. Everything is brand new, and I bet your outlook on life is completely different after that situation. It must be terrifying, relieved, and life-changing. So I'm just glad everyone there was good. Then just a couple days ago, we had another Delta airplane had to make an emergency landing after flying for 10 minutes because the cabin filled with smoke. Filled with smoke. What? Oh my goodness, what's going on? And then you must have seen now in the news what just happened in Chicago, where a large plane was landing on the runway, just about to set down its rear wheels when a private jet pulled across the runway directly in front of the plane, and they had to do an emergency go-around. How is this happening? Why is this happening? It's happening more and more right now, and I do believe right now one of the reasons is the shortage of air traffic controllers in the United States. Currently, I think there are about 5,000 air traffic controllers, and you would say, oh, 5,000, that's a lot of people and everything. And remember, they just went out and started saying that they are, looking into cutting, waste in the government, and they started slashing people who were in training to become air traffic controllers and work the maintenance on the, machinery, etc. They wanted to cut those, and they did. They laid off a bunch of people. Well, this stuff is happening. Did you know that the average air traffic controller now is working 10-hour shifts and 6 days a week in major cities? 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, 60 hours a week, staring at a screen, looking after people's lives. I don't know about you, but that seems like an awful lot of hours for people to be on a constant basis, who are the people who are keeping planes distant from each other, making sure they're landing on time, making sure they're taking off at the proper times, and not crossing runways in front of other planes. That is crazy to me. This is one thing, we never hear of planes having issues in America or Canada. We never hear these kind of stories. Now we see this big go-around close counter in Chicago. We see the plane flip over in Toronto. We see the helicopter crash in Washington, D.C. What's going on? Are we overworking our air traffic controllers? Is it just human error? Well, maybe. If it's a human error from the air traffic controller, is it because they are being overworked? Or was this a pilot error, completely ignoring what the air traffic controller is saying? But thankfully in Chicago, we had the crew paying attention, saw the plane there, and immediately took off, and basically saved a lot of lives doing it. Would they have hit? Probably. Maybe not like head on into it, but I bet you those wings would have hit that tail of the smaller jet the way it was coming in at that speed. It was a very scary situation, and I don't know what's going on in the aviation world, and it makes my next few flights even more nerve-wracking. And I have a lot of them coming up, including flights that are 17 hours long this year. And it's not making my nerves any calmer with all of these stories. Have you started to be a little bit more nervous about flying these days? Because I certainly am.